Hey guys, good afternoon. Obviously taking on a very talented Ohio team coming up this week. Coach Tim does a phenomenal job with his group. They're in the middle of it right now. They're playing very well. Obviously a lot of returning starters off that Mid-American Conference East Championship that they had a year ago, and you see the quarterback continuing to play well. Two running backs running really, really hard and really, really well. I think defensively you've continued to see them improve throughout the season and just really play really, really sound defense. I mean, they get after you with their front. Their linebackers really play downhill, and they're very sound in their secondary. Special teams very clean. They play sound. They play discipline. This is a very good football team. We're off these back-to-back weeks with Toledo and then in Ohio. Really two really good football teams that we're playing back-to-back weeks, and we got to rebound and we got to respond. We have to. I think we're off to a good start right now. We got to continue to find ways to get better, improve, and grow. Obviously, we were able to take the ball away 4 times a week ago, and that's something we want to continue to build upon, and we got to secure the ball, and we got to just play really complimentary football and play sound on both sides. We got them coming at home, which is really good. Looking forward to getting back home against with this MAC team coming in front of our home crowd and our home stadium, and looking forward to our students coming out with another MACtion game coming up. But most importantly, getting ourselves in a really good mental space to take on a very, very talented team that's extremely well coached, and getting ourselves in the mental sweet spot for everything that's going to take to come away with a W.
What is it about Rourke and his skill set that makes him as good as he is?
I think he's extremely tough. He sits in the pocket, and he'll sit in there and he'll take the hit and still complete the ball. He's a big frame guy, and he's physically has a really great frame to himself, and he can push the ball down the field. And what they ask him to do and how they use him, Coach Tim's a very smart coach. They have a lot of complementary pass game concepts where they're very clear, decisive reads. I think the timing between their quarterback and their receivers, obviously you see the experience with the returning players that they've had, where they can find the space, they can sit it down in the soft zones. They're very good at IDing coverages pre-snap and having a very clear plan on where they want to go with the ball when the ball turns over. You don't see him put the ball in jeopardy. If you watch him over the last 2 years, there's just not a lot of throws that he has on film where you're just, hey, why'd the ball go there? He puts the ball in the right position, and he gets it out on time and on target. And they sprinkle enough run game in there with him to make everyone be sound and disciplined in terms of how they're going to defend him. But he's the returning Mid-American Conference Player of the Year for a reason. We have a lot of respect for what he has put on film, and a lot of respect for their coaching staff and how they use him. And we know we got a big task and a big challenge in front of us.
What is your team's approach to this game, to keep your team's bowl eligibility hopes alive?
Right. I think, Rachel, the biggest thing for us is just continuing to take it one day at a time and finding ways to get better every single day. We are very, very much singularly focused on respecting our process, what we have to do every day to get better. And how do we meet the standard of the play, every single play that we're out there, and taking it a step at a time. It very much is one step at a time, and how we continue to do the next right thing in the moment. We had our opportunities last week on the road, taking on a very talented Toledo team. We didn't get the job done on the road. So what do? You find the mistakes on film. You point out those mistakes. We have great accountability in our building in terms of how we identify the things we need to identify to get issues fixed, and then you go out there and you put the work in. There's really there's no magic pill you take. There's no secret formula. It's putting in the work. It's identifying problems, getting them corrected, and then getting yourself prepared on a week in and week out basis.
You guys were in this position last year against Athens, and it was delayed to the final day of the regular season.
Right.
What are some of those veteran players? How are they emphasizing the importance of the situation you're in to younger players?
Well, we have a number of younger guys that are out there with us that, whether it's Devin Grant, who's a redshirt freshman, Deion Crawford's a true freshman starting at linebacker for us and part-time starter for us. Charles McCarthan's a true freshman starting corner. Khalil Murdoch is a redshirt freshman linebacker. We have enough younger players that I think have a good amount of maturity to them. So even though that they are young, they don't play young, they don't act necessarily quote-unquote young. And then we have a really great core of older guys that have been through it. The Max Michels, the Gabe Wallaces, the Isaiah Wright. You can go on and on. The Damon Williams and Jalen Bass. That there's a good balance of guys. I think the way that our team has been responding. You look at the last 5 games, I think we've been in the middle of most of the games, and maybe a ball bounce here or a ball bounce there. What were we, 3-2 in our last 5? And we know that these are Mid-American Conference games. Nobody's going to give you anything. You got to play really sound. You got to play well. You got to make plays in critical situations. You got to call it the right way in the middle of the game. And we know it's going to be the same way with these next 3 games leading up. They're going to be fist fights, and we just got to get our mind ready to go.
Got a little bit better boost from the running game over the last couple
Right.
weeks, including some longer plays, which hadn't been happening earlier in the year. What are the reasons for that?
I think as we begin the season out, sometimes you have an approach to what you think things are going to look like, or what you may see as maybe a strength or a weakness, and how do we want to utilize our guys. And as players have come on, and Ron has been consistently good for us, but you see like a transfer running back with Jaquez Barksdale that you've seen be used more and more over the last 4, 5, 6 weeks. He's kind of one of those guys, as we've given him one small job, he did it really well, and then let's give you 2 jobs, let's give you 5 jobs, and the more jobs that we've given him, the better he's handled them. And we've been able to find a good balance in terms of, I think we've been over 150 yards rushing the last few weeks in terms of what our backs have been able to do. Our line has continued to really be strong up front between Isaiah, Tyler Doty, Trevor Brock as he's come on. Kalen Shepard has been solid and good for us all year and pretty consistent. So you're finding your path and you're finding your way, through that middle October month, and it's kind of it's been a path for us to be able to move the ball. We got to tie it all in together. We got to be balanced. We have to play complementary within the offense, football, running and throwing. But the run game is something that we feel like we've been able to lean on pretty good.
Deion Crawford, he's going to be filling in for Red Murdoch. He's going to be out for the first half. How are the Deion and linebackers preparing for this game? They're going to be short-handed.
Well, I would say that if you've watched Deion, a guy we mentioned earlier, Deion Crawford, true freshman linebacker, he doesn't act like a true freshman. You don't see him operate. His process is not one of what you would think a true freshman would be. He really attached himself to the older guys on defense, and he's in there watching extra film. These are not his first game reps, and I think the reason why we lost Sean Dolak earlier in the year, which is what we feel like is one of the best players in the Mid-American Conference. And to a credit to our coaches and to some of the younger players, you didn't see what we would think of maybe a major drop-off is because of I think the pride we take in how we develop our guys. We know we're a 365-day approach in terms of how we're going to continue to get our players better. We don't want to ever have a mindset that I'm waiting to play. We got to be preparing to play. Deion is a guy that's taken that wholeheartedly, and that's why you've seen him in there on special teams. We've given him small jobs. He's grown to where he's been actually taking real game reps, and he's done a really solid job. So I think he'll be up for the challenge. Ohio's line is extremely good. Their guards are very talented. Center does a really good job. They communicate well up front. We're going to have to play really strong in the middle. With everything that they present.
With Sean Dolak as well, he was 5 games. Do you have a timetable?
We're hopeful. We got to just, the body's going to do what the body does. So I wish I could just say, hey, we know he's going to be ready to go. We're kind of chomping at the bits for him, and I know he is too. I mean, he's been on the sideline, and I'm so proud of Sean because he's given us everything he has from the sideline. He's been a great senior presence and a great team leader type of guy, even though he hasn't been getting the game reps. But we're just waiting on him to get back.
And Nick McMillan was practicing today. Do you anticipate he'll be back?
Yeah, we're looking forward to Nick being out there. If things continue to progress the way they are right now, we think we're going to be able to get him back this week.
And if he's available, what will he add?
Well, you saw how Nick was playing, he had the big long touchdown pass against Liberty way back in September, and he was a guy that we felt like was going to be a guy on the rise, and he had an unfortunate injury. And now he seems like he's back healed from a medical standpoint. Obviously, he's been out some weeks. So, it's not just, snapping your finger and you're ready to play, but we know we're getting a talented player back that's been committed to what we're doing, and we're looking forward to getting him involved in what we're asking our offense to do.
You get the weather thrown at you an hour before the game on Thursday, and obviously who knows what happened the last month of the season. How do you adapt to that? Do you? I mean, you walk out at an hour before game and you saw what the snow is coming, is there anything that goes in your mind and say, hey, we need to now do this or change this?
Most things we try to, you can go back in spring, summer, training camp. How do we stay ahead of as many things as we can? You can't predict the weather, but you can almost predict the timing of things. With, you put 2 and 2 together. Action football Tuesday night, November. There's a chance that we can get some type of weather, whether it's rain or snow dropping from the sky. So we work our wet ball drills just like I know a lot of Mid-American Conference teams do. We talk through all the things that we can control. I think our guys handle it pretty decent and pretty well. Most of our old linemen were out there with no shirts on warming up, so I think they were ready to go.
What does the secondary have to do to prepare to face Ohio's?
Right. Well, you look at it a week ago, we Toledo, number 1 scoring offense in the Mid-American Conference, number 1 rush offense, number 1 in rushing attempts. They had the number 1 pass efficiency offense a week ago. And you look at right underneath most of all those lines, Ohio is number 2 or 1 in most of those major statistical categories. Again, as much as you're going to look at those past numbers, they do an outstanding job, and Tim uses those backs really, really well in their run game, and they have a big, aggressive offensive line. They test you in the run game. They test you on the outside because they can push the ball down the field vertically whenever they want. They have a big, strong quarterback. They have experienced receivers, and they're putting up really good numbers, and they know what they're doing. So they have our full attention. We have the ultimate respect for Coach Tim, his bunch. They're very, very good, and especially I would say on the offensive side, they're a really good team. They really know what they're doing. They got a really good plan going into every single week. We know we got to match up what they've put on film and what we've put on film, and we can anticipate certain things happening. But playmakers are going to show up. They'll be ready to go. I know we'll be ready to go, and I know the playmakers are going to show up. We got to give our guys a really sound plan and let them go play fast. Thank you, guys.